Drake's been running the game for over a decade. Hits, Grammy projects, and sounds that everyone copies. But of these projects, he's teasing his newest album ICEMAN in various live streams. And in this video, I'm breaking down 2 beats inspired by those leaks and the singles What Did I Miss and Which One. I'll show you the exact tricks, sample secrets, and drum techniques to master the sound so that your beats become album ready. Starting off the first sample, I took inspiration from this track off of ICEMAN episode 3. The sample in this beat is pretty quiet, but we can pick out the simple dark chords that was used in the sample for our own. This progression is pretty simple. It's just a G minor triad, adding the 2, raising both up an octave, and then copying over the 3rd on top, and you get this. This extension is pretty common for kind of dark soul sounds, so that's exactly what I did here. And to add to the realism and kind of like sampled tone of this, you just kind of want to play it in if you have a MIDI keyboard. Then to add to the old vintage feel, I added in these tape keys from Sky Keys. Then I added in a live bass to really establish that sampled feel. Now most of the tracks on these streams have live strings, but instead of that I kind of wanted to switch it up and add in a real live saxophone. Live elements such as pianos, strings, and saxophone helped heavily with creating a vintage tone. This fits perfectly with the tone Drake has set in his ICEMAN 3 episode. From there, I added in a simple piano run at the end of each 2 bars. Again, I played that in just to get a more realistic and natural tone. Next, I added a B section with some dark keys and a different bass pattern. These elements in a B section are extremely important to have in a repetitive sample like this one so that you can keep the loop very interesting. Now when it comes to processing, this is easily 50% of the entire sample. So here's what the sample sounds like with no effects on it. And here's what the piano sounds like with compression, tape, and pitch shift. The most important effect in this chain is 100% pitch shifting. This is because when you pitch shift an element, it brings out a sort of vintage tone that you can hear across countless sampled songs. Because of this effect, I even pitch shifted the entire master to give the entire sample a vintage tone. And here's what the entire sample sounds like. The drums on this one, I took inspiration from the simple but bouncy patterns on ICEMAN episode 2. First, I lowered the tempo of the sample to a similar tempo of 133 BPM, then laid down a simple hi-hat pattern. Secondly, I added in a hard-hitting snare just like that beat on episode 2. I made sure to off-hit the second snare hit to add to the unique bounce. Then I added in 2 perks to add to the simple but bouncy pattern. Then a simple open hat. After that, I added in a subby 808 like majority of the beats have across ICEMAN. Adding on to that, I placed down a simple kick pattern following the 808. Now, a technique that almost all the beats on these ICEMAN live streams have is sidechain. Especially on the more subby 808s, you need to be using this. And what this does is that it ducks the 808 every time the kick hits. So to do this, on your kick track, you want to right click on to the 808 track and click sidechain to this track. Then coming to the 808 track, put on a fruity limiter, copy these settings, as well as copy these, and then right here on the sidechain, right click again and pick your kick channel. And then if you watch the waveform on top, you can see that the 808 will duck every time the kick hits. And that's it. Not too much going on with this one, but still bouncy enough. Here's the full beat. For the second sample, I took inspiration off of this track on ICEMAN episode 3. I wanted to build out a really melodic and textured R&B sample with vocals. First thing I did was a simple 5/6 progression with a top line. Then straight away I went to the bass to fill out the low end. After that, I played in some finger pick guitar to add to that R&B sound. Then I played an electric guitar to add to the uniqueness of this sample. Now, just like that track on episode 3, I added in these vocals from my Solace Multikit. As of right now, you can get this kit for 45% off for the first 15 people to go grab it right now in the description. Vocals play a huge part in this sample since most of the beats on this ICEMAN episodes all have vocals. At this point, I was really happy with where I was going, but I wanted to add in another section with some more synthy elements which you can hear on this track.
Yeah, shout out to Kiki, she love me. Promise me we don't talk about money. Bitch stepping in whatever country. 18 years when we haven't been rusty. 5 years when you rappers turn dusty. And you whole niggas think you can touch me. Whenever y'all fall out of love with me.
Then I added in a pad to fill out the empty space. And that's it. Here's the full sample. Starting off the drums with this one, at 122 BPM, I laid down this simple hi-hat pattern. Next, I added in a heavy snare. Then, placed down 2 different open hats to add to the unique bounce. From there, I added in a simple kick that follows the triple hi-hat. Finally, I added in a subby 808 just like all the beats on ICEMAN. The 808 and kick on this one also were sidechain as I mentioned before. And with that being said, here's the full beat. And that's pretty much it for this video. If you want to grab the vocals I use in this kit, make sure to check out Solace down in the description. Remember, 45% off for the first 15 people. More breakdowns like this are already in the works, so make sure to stay tuned and make sure to drop the sub. And follow me on IG at ProudFreeze if you want to see more like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something from this video.